I have a fun fact for you. Fraud can send you to jail. For those of you who don't know, let me get you caught up to speed. About 14 months ago, I decided to try my hand at playing Open Season on PS2. I died. After I died, things had gone pretty smoothly. Until I decided to build computers and go into real estate. That's when the problems arose. Calling yourself a certified professional without calling yourself a certified professional tends to get you into some trouble. I've been in jail for the past 3 months. But what better way to come out of jail than to talk about virginity?
Mom, look, I'm collecting video games. Dang it. Game collecting isn't really something I strove for, more so fell into it, mainly because I'm a hoarder. I think I've got GameStop to thank for this sort of thing. Every time I think about selling a game, like GeForce on DS or something, I'd consider the experience of going back to replay that game worth much more than the 3 cents the GameStop will give me for it. So instead of selling my old ones as new ones came out, I just kept my old ones. Over time, the collection grew from yard sales and flea markets before I decided, this is my life now. I've sort of pivoted my way of collecting now. Rather than just getting a bunch of games for random systems, I've really been striving to get physical copies of the must-have games for a system, mostly with the original Xbox. The OG Xbox really hits a sweet spot in video game history, where I can play it and not feel like I'm committing a War Games-esque crime. Actually, you know what, let's talk about this for a minute. It is so hard for me to care about these super old systems. Like the Magnavox Odyssey, even the 2600 really, they're just like so old. I don't really care about them at all. Like, am I really gonna take precious time out of my day to play this or to play this? I do sometimes pick up these games for game collection purposes, but I really don't find myself going out of my way to experience them again. Over the past couple years, I've collected so many games that sometimes I forget what ones I really have, and at this point, it has become a problem. And some of the games that I do have, I probably shouldn't have at all.
I really wish I could say that this is the first time that I've died, but here we are again. I don't know what to do this time. I don't even know if the hospital will take me again. I never paid my bill. I walked out of there with a copy of Bible Adventures and never paid a cent. So I guess I'll just sit and wait.
Alex,
What is that?
how have you already died a second time?
What is going on here?
Look, buddy, I can't send you back in good conscience in the sorry state you're in now. First, you need to gain an appreciation for the classics.
That doesn't make any sense.
The answers you seek may be closer than you know.
Okay, I guess I'll figure something out. You know, at this point, I'm not even sure if this is purgatory or hell. Oh, it's hell.
Picture gaming in the 1970s. A simple time where mere pixels guided your imagination through a journey in which you've never experienced before. Doesn't that sound just wonderful? Yeah, I just described a Rubik's Cube. The Atari 2600 was released in late 1977 here in North America, then in 1978 and 83 in Europe and Japan, respectively. The Atari 2600 wasn't the first home video game console on the market. In fact, it was far from it. However, the Atari brought something to the table that no other console had really succeeded at doing: creating a console that could play multiple games via swapped cartridges. This was really something to write home about. Video game systems of the time contained one game, and that game was Pong. Sure, you could argue that the Odyssey was more than Pong, but was it really? What am I playing right now? Wrong, it's checkers. These cartridges held around 2 kilobytes of data. Now, how many of those do I need to download Halo Infinite? Right, but these games are much more simple and required a lot of imagination to get any sort of enjoyment out of. Speaking of the games themselves, I should probably get mine out and start appreciating them more. I picked this Model 2 2600 up at an antique shop for around 30 bones, and I'd say that's a steal. It had definitely been sitting in a garage somewhere for a long while, but it at least had this case to go along with it. I know it doesn't look all that pretty, but that's nothing a little Sharpie can't fix. The system itself worked well enough, though. I had to replace a controller port and make a new video cable for it, but all in all, this thing was a pretty great find. The included controllers were less so controllers and more so embarrassments. 2 paddles came included, one with protection and one without. To my surprise, both still work. One just feels like you're rolling a toothpick. No classic joysticks were in this box, but that's where the Atari flashback consoles came in. You know these from popular locations such as Hell. The controllers used the original connectors, which was really cool, because they work on original hardware. The Atari that I bought came with a handful of games, but I did get a few more for around $10.
They're just throwing this good stuff away.
I'd say let's take a look at the games one by one and find some reason to like them. And starting off with Pac-Man. I'd recognize this cheese on any shelf. Released in 1982, let's see how the developers used the 5 years of experience to bring this arcade classic into our homes. Boy, does this ever look like a Pac-Man. Let's just get started and... Oh, this is bad. Not like the worst thing I've ever played, but like, really? This is what they shipped? Gone are the days of an animated Pac-Man, and here are the signs of the apocalypse. I didn't even bother approximating the sound at all. The iconic of Pac-Man is replaced with a... I'd like my Pac-Man as vanilla as possible, please. There's so much sprite flicker as well. A common trait among these older games, but wow. This game has a hefty amount of charm, yet it still remained the best-selling game for the system, eventually pushing like 8 million units. But even at the time, no one really considered this game even close to the original, and most would rather play the arcade. The next card I have is unlabeled, but after a little bit of research, and I mean a very little bit of research, I found it to be Star Wars The Empire Strikes Back, an ambitious little game that accomplishes its goals well. Managed to fit the Star Wars theme song into this little card, and that is really neat. The game recreates the battle on Hoth from the second in the Good trilogy. With the limits of the 2600, this is really well done. A very cool 5 minutes of high-score based action. It's definitely repetitive, with the only goal to shoot these AT-ATs with a pea shooter, but it's pretty sweet anyway. Space Invaders is a classic arcade game that is very well replicated on the 2600. This is how an arcade port should be done. Atari games are at their best when they're simple, no arbitrary goals or instructions. Everything you need to know is on one screen. These aliens are trying to get closer! Oh, what button do I hit? A really simple high-score based game, but a classic to be sure. Demon Attack is like a Galaxian clone with animated and mobile enemies. It's a pretty cool alternative to Space Invaders, but when those tic-tacs back and forth just aren't cutting it. Demons show up and attack, and you can do nothing except the unthinkable. Murder! Again, a very simple but a very addicting game. A good addition to any collection for sure. Vanguard, not you, is a fun romp and an ambitious title for the Atari. It consists of long linear levels in a side-scroller format, a format that wasn't really made popular until the days of the NES. And in a way, this game was very ahead of its time. It's almost too ahead of its time. With the way that the game is presented, you're kind of left to figure it out by yourself, which is really a common trait among these older titles. Most included a manual, and you were expected to read that manual. And when you don't, here we are. Donkey Kong was another arcade classic that was brought over to the 2600. Kinda. It certainly gets the job done, but there's a pattern among all of these titles. They're either too complicated and require endless amounts of external information to know anything about, or are just the most watered-down version of an arcade game imaginable. Like Donkey Kong here. It's serviceable. It does exactly what you'd expect it to. But does it really hold a candle to the original? The Atari 2600 had such an odd place in the market. Like, you could pay the $200 to have an arcade experience at home, or you could play the real thing at the local arcade for 25 cents. I'll take the anti-mortgage, please. Berserk is plain and simple fun. You're a little orange man running through an electrified maze with murder on the mind. The main character and enemies are all fully animated, which is a nice touch. It really gives the game a polished look. I definitely had the most fun with this one, mainly just because the little stickman is on the move. Go, little stickman, go! There might still be time to experience the Toyota Summer Sales event! Breakout is here too, and it's Breakout alright. The paddle controls are nice, but man is my hand cramping. A simple high-score based time killer, but there are fun modes to be found when messing with the system's front switches. A very good use of the Atari and the paddles. Next is another unlabeled cartridge, but this one was pretty obvious. Spider-Man for the 2600 is simple, and really what more could you ask for with something like this? Climb up a building and stop Green Man from blowing up the complex. Not much to this one, but I've seen worse.
Is this more action than even Spider-Man could handle?
Alright, one game left. Miss Pac-Man. Can we please just end on some semblance of a high note? It turns out we can. I mean, this is probably the best 2600 game out there. If the goal of the Atari was to bring an arcade experience into homes, then Miss Pac-Man made good on that. The opening jingle is here, actual game animation exists, the pellets don't assault your eardrums every time they're eaten, proper fruit makes a return, and even the ghosts look better. There is still a hefty amount of sprite flicker, but I can look past that. This is a truly great experience, especially in 1982. How did any of this momentum carry forward? No. E.T. was widely regarded as the worst video game of all time, and it was believed to be what killed the video game industry in 1983. Looking back, critics tend to cut this game a little slack, saying that it was under time constraints and rushed for a holiday release. We now look at E.T. the same way we look at the Chia Pet. Not evil, just misunderstood. As mediocre as some of these titles are, I do see a place where they could have been incredible to some kid out there. Staying up late at night watching Earth be attacked by space invaders. Going to bed only to hear the noises play in their dreams. And if an experience like that isn't what playing a game is all about, I'm not even sure why I'd even collect them. I think I do appreciate the Atari 2600 now. For the most part, the games that it does have are rather mediocre, but it has a special place in video game history. Without the 2600, there might not be a modern video game industry. The Atari 2600 is a neat part of history, and it should be remembered for years to come.
Okay, buddy, I've appreciated these games for what they are. I understand their place in the video game industry now. But now you owe me some answers.
Okay, shoot.
Where am I right now?
You are in what lies between reality and the abyss.
Yeah, still lost, but keep going.
Your old room, your old world, the place you call home was never real.
What do you mean?
Remember, like 2 years back, you and Andrew died in the woods?
Oh shit, that was real? What have I been experiencing since then?
A reality of your own creation. You were the one in control of it. Didn't it ever seem strange that death was just a minor inconvenience to you?
I thought it was kind of funny.
Exactly.
So this past year has been like a hallucination?
Pretty much.
Wow, I really gotta think about this.
Hey guys, it's me, Alex Gorby. I'm here to take my pants off.
And what better way to celebrate than getting ominous mail?
Hey, it's me, Alex Gorby, and I love to play video games, especially the,
You like Fallout 76?
my favorite games are Fallout 76, Honey Pop, Honey Pop 2.
Be in a turtle stream in outer space.
What is real? Who are you? You? That is an amazing accent. I like yours as well. I thought that I knew what reality was, but maybe I don't. I'm not even sure if I'm me anymore. If all that I've gone through the past year and a half is just a hallucination, did it really happen? Did it feel real? The experience felt real. Why question if it was part of reality? What am I doing here then? Why am I just in this white void? Well, you put yourself here.
What's stopping you from taking yourself out?
You've got a good point, British Alex. I can't take myself out of here. I can snap back to reality.
Was that Eminem?
Yeah, I totally said that. That was
I saw what you did.
yeah. What now? Well, that was a fun few minutes there. Not only do I have a new appreciation for Atari games, I have a new appreciation for life. Really know if I should think about what just happened too much. I own a futon now. I think after this whole ordeal, it's finally time to kick back and relax a little bit with some game of Vagrant Mystery. Give it a quick shake real quick, and let's get a game out of it, and I can't escape.